What's up, guys? It's Dynasty from Mountaintops. I'm Mickey, along with Jeremy, of course. And Jeremy, how you doing today? I know we took a week off. For you, I had to reset as well, but for you, you went to Cleveland and had a great time, from what I heard.
Yeah, man, I was fortunate enough to have pit tickets to AC/DC. Diehard fan. They're my all-time favorite, and truly believe this was the last stint in the States that they're going to do via tour-wise, and the last show was in Cleveland, so I didn't want to miss it. I was in the pit. I was about 20 feet from stage. My ears were shot for about 48 hours afterwards. Overall, pleasant experience, and one I'll remember forever.
Yeah, man, that sounds awesome. That's one band that I've wanted to see that I never got a chance to. So that's pretty awesome. There's so many hits, so many hits,
so many hits. Like even if you're not like a rock fan, and it's like you hear that song, it's like, oh, that's them. Oh, that's them. Oh, that's them. It's
exactly.
when you span over 50 years, you're gonna hit various hits according along the way. So yeah, I enjoyed it. But yeah,
Also,
I'm ready to talk fantasy. I'm sorry.
For the youngins out there that are just hitting 21, the absolute best drinking game on earth is Thunderstruck. Just so you know, learn how to play it. It's amazing.
I have been ruined.
Time.
I was ruined once with Thunderstruck.
So. Many times somehow. I think people just faked it and then caught me because I was already drunk. But whatever.
Hey.
All right, so we're not here to talk about me drinking or AC/DC is awesome. I could talk about them for a while, just like you probably could too. But we are here to talk about AFC and NFC North, kind of the additions and re-signs that they had, departures, draft. We're also going to pick an MVP and a dark horse for each team, and also give you a best positional player in each division. We just thought summertime OTAs are going on. Let's reset, figure out kind of what happened this offseason so far. And obviously it's not done, especially for the Steelers, hopefully. But as of right now, 90% of the work of who's moving where is complete. Does that make sense?
100%, at least for me, yes.
So that's what we're going to do today here. Might be a shorter show, might not. We talk a lot, so we'll see. But we're going to do the North divisions, starting with the AFC and starting with the AFC North champs from last year, the Baltimore Ravens. They added DeAndre Hopkins and I think re-signed Tyler Wallace. Not very big ads. DeAndre Hopkins used to be the dude, one of the best wide receivers in the league. He's kind of fallen off a little bit. Just age gets you, right? And then departures, none. Draft, nobody that we really care about from a fantasy perspective. So unless you had any different that you've seen?
No, I agree with you. The departures were minimal at best in regards to the fantasy aspect, and the draft was replacing those minimal fantasy aspects. So, I agree with you on those fronts. And also your pleasantries or lack thereof on D-Hop, I do agree with you. I think this is 2-3 years a little too late. I think he's going to have somewhat of an impact, but as a Flowers owner or anything like that, I'm not concerned.
Yeah, he was a absolute stud for 7 or 8 years. One of the best wide receivers in football, but gets you every time, right? So pretty easy here for Baltimore Ravens. I didn't think there was really an option for my MVP personally. He's one of the top 5 players in the game, even though I can't stand him. Lamar Jackson is my MVP, the quarterback, obviously. And when I say MVP, I kind of want to reiterate this. I don't mean the most important player on the team. I mean the most important player for your fantasy team. So, because every time you could say the quarterback's the MVP of every team, right? Unless your quarterback sucks, and then it's probably the running back. So, my idea was who's the most valuable person to have on this team for my fantasy team or your fantasy team, in that matter. So that's kind of how I looked at the MVP. I don't know if you look the same way or if we're going to look at this 2 different ways here.
No, very similar approach. I mean, I fully agree with this aspect in regards to Lamar because, I mean, I don't want to downplay the Ravens' fantasy players. They do have quite a few, but they are all linked to Lamar. If it's the passing game, it's the rushing game. The rushing game's impacted by Lamar because of his passing game and his legs in general. I think Lamar's one of those players in regards to the fantasy world. The complete fantasy nucleus of the Ravens revolves around the quarterback.
Yeah, and you're right. This is one of the few teams that it is 100% on the quarterback. And if this quarterback gets injured, we've seen it before. This team is not very good. It's just the fact of how it is. Now, your dark horse. Since I said MVP first, who was your dark horse on this team?
I actually think this is kind of a weird way to start here for lack of splash, but you and I are identical here. I have Lamar Jackson as my MVP, and for my dark horse, I have the tight end Isaiah Likely. I think he was coming into his own zone last year with Andrews coming off of his injuries and kind of showing his age. I think Andrews shows a little bit of the same this year. I think he's slow coming out of the gate and Likely takes advantage of it. There was very well recorded sound bites of Harbaugh the other day indicating that he wants Likely to be an All-Pro. So tells me the schemes and game plans are going to be able to feed Isaiah. So I think he's going to come out of the woodwork and he's really going to have his breakout year this year.
Nice. Yeah. Honestly, the reason I picked Isaiah Likely was a lack of. I think this team isn't very good on offense. Derrick Henry, too good. Mark Andrews, older, probably. I don't think he's really a dark horse per se. He's on the other side of that. DeAndre Hopkins, kind of the same thing. Rashad Bateman, yeah, right. He was honestly the only other person I could think of that was like, okay, if he does well, he could be the dark horse. But it was really a lack of or the last man standing, basically. In that sense, they have older players or they have trash, in my eyes. And Isaiah Likely is kind of the only one that falls in that, okay, he could be the guy this year that hasn't been the guy in the past. So that's why I picked Isaiah Likely. A little bit different reason than you, but same guy, which is pretty interesting. So, yeah, pretty straightforward. Probably the best team in this division, as long as Lamar's healthy. They got strong on defense, so we'll see. But next up, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. They re-signed Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Mike Gesicki. So the triumvirate of receivers, tight end, obviously, for Gesicki, they were able to retain. Huge deal there. Defense is still trash and probably going to be even worse. So good for fantasy with the wide receivers and the tight end as well. Not to mention the quarterback who's already paid handsomely. The Parchers, he left, but it doesn't really matter. Khalil Herbert, running back there. And they drafted Taj Brooks, probably an upgrade in my eyes from Khalil Herbert. Younger, a little bit faster, I think. So, but they did draft Taj Brooks, I think in the 6th or 7th.
Correct, 6th round.
6th round, yeah. So, again, a lot of pieces re-signed, not too much movement, I guess you would say. Just subbed out Khalil Herbert or Taj Brooks for Khalil Herbert is basically what happened. Don't think he's going to play too much into Chase Brown's time, though. I think this is kind of his deal. We'll see, though. So I went first on the MVP for the Ravens. Why don't you tell us who your MVP is? Or first off, if you had anything else to say about the ads, departures, drafts.
No, I think this is going to be, I think you summed it up really well, but I think this is going to be the closest to one of the best offenses we're going to see in quite some time. I tend to be a little biased toward the Bengals, but I think this is going to be justified this year and it's going to be reflected. I don't care how crappy that defense is going to be because that defense is going to be crap. If they are able to extend or sign Hendrickson, they'll be saved somewhat, but it's looking like every one of these games is going to be 45-38, and I'm okay with that as a Burrow and Chase holder. But I think that this is going to be one heck of an offense, coming and going, passing and running, which we can touch base on later on. But yeah, for the most part, I think you summed it up. And on that note, I think I'm going to go with Jamar Chase. He's wide receiver 1 in Dynasty, in my opinion. He's wide receiver 1 in redraft. He's Triple Crown winner. He's been consistent every single year. What else can you say about Jamar Chase that hasn't been said? I think it's a slam dunk no brainer in regards to having him be a dynasty god in regards to the way his points are and the way his reliability is. So no brainer, he was the MVP for me.
Yeah, this is a really boring part of our show. Is the MVP and dark horse apparently? I have the exact same player, and I was debating between him and Burrow. The difference is Chase is 1, 2, or 3 in wide receiver, no lower than 3. Burrow probably 5, 6, 7 in quarterback, depending. I mean, you might be able to put him at 4, but he doesn't run quite as much as those other top tier guys.
Correct.
So in fantasy, Jamar Chase is the more valuable piece in my eyes, rather than Joe Burrow, who's going to get you more points. Obviously, he's a quarterback, but he's probably 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, somewhere around there, not top 3. So that was what kind of changed it for me. Like you said, he has been insane. I've always been a little bit down on him, up on Lamb and Jefferson, but again, interchangeable between the 3 in my eyes, not too different. So my dark horse, I think we have the same dark horse too, which is hilarious. Chase Brown.
Yeah, I believe we have the same dark horse. I believe I'm a little bit more tattooed on my skin with Chase Brown than you are, but yeah, we're in agreement on Chase Brown.
I saw the writing on the wall with Joe Mixon the year that he was the offseason that he was getting traded or was moving to Houston or whatever, and got him as an added piece on purpose in fantasy, and was handsomely rewarded because of it. So I've been on Chase Brown for a little bit longer than most people, I think, but it sounds like you are too. And I think this is the year that he is going to blow up. There is nothing around him. This team is going to have to score because I don't know if you said this about the defense or not, but it is an absolute joke. Their best player on defense, who was the sack king, is not on the team right now because they won't pay him. Right. They paid the offensive players when their defense is terrible. Anyway, and then their second best defensive player, arguably, retired in Hubbard. So they have no defense right now. Like right now, we could go on the field and maybe be as good as their defense. It's absolute joke. So they're going to have to score 40 points a game, which is great for fantasy. So get as many Bengals as you possibly can. But it's going to be kind of the same deal as it was last year, and possibly without the best player on that defense. 2 best players on that defense, excuse me. So it'll be interesting for sure. I know they drafted a bunch of defense, but we'll see if any of that plays out. I don't think rookies you have to worry about too much, especially if you're looking for points in fantasies. Excuse me. Yeah, we both have the same MVP and dark horse here as well. This is very boring part. I assumed we were going to have more fun with that one.
We're gonna have fun with this next one. Don't worry.
These 2 teams. Oh yeah, trust me, I know. These 2 teams are kind of, for lack of a better word, pretty straightforward. I think it's either you're great or they just have great offensive players or nobody. Like there's nobody in that middle. Kind of like what I said about Isaiah Likely, he's the one guy in that middle. Chase Brown, I don't even know if you could really call him a dark horse right now. He's considered a top 10 back in the league. But who else are you going to pick? Like, there's no one left, and I don't trust Gesicki enough. So, and my guy Eric All, he's out for the season. I would have picked him, but he's out for the season. So,
yeah. Hey, when the value is what it is, and everyone's still sleeping on Chase Brown, I could not scream Chase Brown louder pre-draft, and nobody wanted to listen. Like it's. I think he's a dark horse until he slaps everybody else in the face. So I'm in full support.
Absolutely. And there is, like I said, Taj Brooks might get a little bit of pass catching out of the backfield, things like that. But I don't think there's anyone else there for Chase Brown to really take any carries off of, or take any carries off of him. So, which is nice. So moving on to the Cleveland Browns, they added 2 quarterbacks, Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco, in the offseason. Risa, I guess, brought Joe Flacco back after he made it to the playoffs with them 2 years ago. And then the departures were 2 quarterbacks as well. Jameson Jameis Winston, if you want to say this is a departure, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Nick Chubb, who's been their stud running back. We'll talk about that in a second. James Proche the second, something like that. And Elijah Moore, two wide receivers Elijah Moore was supposed to be good. He's not. James, as you can hear, I don't know even how to say his last name, so he's not very good either. James, I think it's Proche. But Nick Chubb, the way they handled him, real quick, I appreciated. Being a huge Nick Chubb guy, I don't like the Cleveland Browns. They usually mess up these things for their organization. However, they brought him back. They waited for him after this injury, brought him back, let him play a little bit, and then we're like, okay, it is time to move on. I respect that. They at least let him come back this year, which was pretty cool. I just wanted to say that real quick. And then they drafted his replacement, who is basically Nick Chubb, and Quinshon Judkins. And then two quarterbacks in Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round and Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round. I'm not going to talk about Shedeur Sanders at all. If you want to, have at it. Anything you see on here, though, because there was quite a bit of movement on this team.
No, I think you summed it up pretty well. I agree. I think the Nick Chubb would have been a big hole in that offense, but I'm in full agreement. And like I said, we're going to touch base on that. But Judkins is one of the ones that I'm most looking forward to seeing this year.
Yeah. After watching him play at OSU, I was a little worried about him in Auburn. Once I saw him at OSU, especially with the split time with Henderson, who I love, as we all know. And he's now going to be able to kind of be the leader of the backfield, but not take too many carries because there's two other guys there. It's going to save him, be able to, and his speed is shocking for how big he is, I guess you would say. Mm-hmm. So I'm really looking forward to see what he does, especially with this team that is going to run the ball and play defense, because let's be honest, they have 4 quarterbacks that are healthy. Every single one of them is a backup, and one that is not healthy, who we've seen what happened with him in the last 2 years. So they don't have a quarterback as of right now. We'll get to that in a second. But my MVP is Quinshon Judkins for this team, and that is because right now the quarterback situation is scary. So I love Jerry Jeudy, but the quarterback situation is so scary, I can't make him my MVP. Or the quarterback, obviously. So Quinshon Judkins kind of wins by default because I'm worried about their quarterback situation, and they're going to run the ball a ton.
Okay, this is where we kind of differentiate a little bit. I'm not going to rain on the Judkins parade for the MVP too much because I have him as my dark horse, simply making him the dark horse only because he has not taken one snap in the NFL. So that was the only reason why I couldn't consider him MVP. I want to see what he does. I actually did pivot and go Jeudy for my MVP here. Tell me, post Baker Mayfield, when has the quarterback been a consistently good thing for the Cleveland Browns? It hasn't been. And Jerry Jeudy has been a stud past 2 years, especially last year. He was dominant with the revolving door, the quarterback situation, and everything in between. So I don't want to say Jeudy is quarterback proof, but Jeudy is a consistent piece in the fantasy world, relevant enough that he could be deemed MVP for some of the individualized teams, especially coming from the Cleveland Browns. I think overall he's the best offensive weapon that they have until we see exactly what these rookies have done. So in regards to a proven talent, in regards to a proven asset and resume, I'm throwing Jerry Jeudy's hat in the ring.
So I will push back a little bit on Jeudy. I was a Jeudy fan with him coming out of Alabama, I think.
Yep.
I was pumped for him. Like, I was like, all right, here we go. This guy's the next dude, is how I felt. And I was wrong for 3 years. And then he blew up last year because Jameis Winston makes things happen. Just if there's a number 1 wide receiver, he will get the ball. Guaranteed. Don't know if he's going to throw it exactly to him or the defender who's covering that guy. But that guy's getting the targets. And I think that's what happened with Jeudy last year. So with the quarterback situation just in flux, like I have no idea who's going to start. which again I'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, I think you do. Oh, that's a great segue. Let's feed into it. I think you do know who's going to start.
I know
Like
who
I said, my
should
dark
start.
horse is Judkins. We'll
Yeah.
let that be at that. We've talked Judkey enough. Let's the floor is yours. Who's your dark horse there, Mick?
All right, so my dark horse is Kenny Pickett, and this is very simple. Joe Flacco is old. Should probably not be the one to make the team, to be 100% honest. Unless you want one of these two rookies to play on the practice squad and you carry three quarterbacks. I'd be shocked by that. So probably Joe Flacco should be the one to not make the team. Not only that, but this is the guy that they traded for, yes, to get rid of DTR, but they also added a 6th-round pick, which not too far off from where Shedeur Sanders was drafted, just saying. And I don't think you want Dylan Gabriel or the other one to start as a rookie with the team that they have. Kenny Pickett's still in his mid-20s, I believe. He's only been in the league for 3 years. And he really never had that – or I'm sorry, this will be his 4th year. And he really – I'm a believer, being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I'm a believer that Canada absolutely destroyed his chance as being a good quarterback. I'm not saying he will guarantee to be a good quarterback, but if this team is going to succeed, he is going to have to be the reason why, or the quarterback. I believe he's going to be the one to be the quarterback because of the reasons I already explained. I think he should at least get the first chance at it, and we'll see what happens from there. But again, I had to go quarterback here because Judy's not a dark horse. I had Quinshon Judkins as my MVP already, so I'm not going to take another running back. And Njoku is not a dark horse either because he's one of the top 5 to 7 tight ends in the NFL, right? So I kind of had to go quarterback here. And going quarterback, I believe with what the Cleveland Browns have done in the offseason, I believe he's going to be the starter. And Joe Flacco is going to be on the one that's kind of looking for a job. And if they need him, they'll call him. He'll probably come back. But that's why I put him as a dark horse. People can bash me all they want. I don't really care. I still think there's something in there with Kenny Pickett. He didn't take second in the Heisman for no reason.
Stand your ground. No, I like it. I do. Admire the admiration. And again, the quarterback is someone's got to be the quarterback. I do agree with you on some aspects. I disagree with Flacco. I think Flacco is going to be a part of that team. I know he's not a mentor. I know he hates that term mentor, but the team's going to need a mentor. The locker room's in shambles. The team's so young, and the quarterback room is young. Because Kenny Pickett is a Super Bowl champion. Let's throw that in there. Super Bowl champion Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, right.
But let's get real. Kenny hasn't had significant starting time. He hasn't had significant starting time when we get the 2 other rookies. So I honestly think one of the rookies is going to be on their way out, and Flacco is part of a 3-quarterback tandem, at least to start the season. But I do agree with you. I think out of that quarterback room and what we've seen and everything else, I don't think that they should start the season with Flacco. What else does Flacco need to do to show or prove? I think you got to figure out who's the next heir apparent, and that's not Joe Flacco. So I think Kenny Pickett deserves that start for week 1. I do agree with you on there.
And don't get this twisted. Do I think Pickett is better than Flacco right now? What we've seen, no. However, Joe Flacco is old. This team is not going anywhere, in my opinion. I don't believe they will be. They paid $40 million $40 million? Yeah. A year to one defensive player, but the rest of the defense is okay, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on the team in general, so why put a 40-year-old player, whatever he is, as your quarterback with all these other young pieces around him? It seems like there's kind of a change in the guard in this team, and one of these younger players, now I'm not saying Kenny Pickett's as young as the other 2, but he is under 30, so quite a big difference than Joe Flacco. So I think he's going to get the chance, and if he succeeds, he can move. He does have Jerry Jeudy out there with Njoku, so we'll see what happens. But that's my Kenny Pickett rant for today. So that's my Cleveland Browns rant for today. How's that?
That works for me. Yeah, double dip.
Yeah, we're gonna move on to Kenny Pickett's the team that Kenny Pickett drafted. See, I got him in one more time. Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers are, well, my favorite team, obviously, being from Pittsburgh. So their ads was the huge DK Metcalf move. Mason Rudolph bringing him back after a year in Tennessee for him. And then running back Kenneth Gainwell, who I've always been a fan of. So I was excited to see him come in here as well as a pass catching back. Departures, the running back Najee Harris, who is not a pass catching back, really. Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, both quarterbacks, going to two separate teams that are probably going to start at, both in New York, which is funny. And then a late departure, in George Pickens going to the Dallas Cowboys to be the number 2 there with CeeDee Lamb. They also drafted the replacement for Najee Harris in Caleb Johnson and a quarterback in Will Howard, who should be the quarterback in the future. We'll see. He was a 6th-round pick, so, I mean, we'll see what happens there. I've heard a lot of good things, but 6th-round pick, I mean, it doesn't happen.
Tom Brady would like a word.
It doesn't happen. Again, I go with the rule, not the exception. It doesn't happen often that these pan out. They can. Purdy, Brady, that might be it. It happens once every 24 years, and now it's going to happen again in 3. We'll see. I like Will Howard, but we'll see what happens there. So anything that you saw from them that fantasy-wise or NFL-wise, whatever?
NFL-wise, I'm not the biggest fan. I'm an old-school individual, so I'm not the biggest fan of talent with a side dish of attitude. So as a Steelers fan, Pickett's departure was okay in my books. And then certain unrelated, the ad of DK Metcalf was exciting. I think the dude has been a genetic freak since college. There's not many coach meetings that you remember, but I still remember this day him and Pete Carroll taking the shirts off and having that meeting shirtless. And it's like the dude is just a freak. So nevertheless, yeah. I think that was a fantastic ad with or without the Pickens departure.
Yeah, I was a little annoyed with the Pickens departure for one reason only. I truly believe the quarterback in this team is not on the roster yet, whether it's Rodgers or Kirk Cousins. Either way, they're both old, so you got to go for it right now. This defense isn't any younger either. So my thought process was, all right, run it 1 year with both of these dudes, and let's see what happens with the quarterback. Because that offense, Metcalf and Pickens, and then if we could still get Keenan Allen, that'd be sweet. With one of those two quarterbacks and the rookie Caleb Johnson in the backfield with Freiermuth, like, that's an offense. Now we have one option with our tight end is okay, our rookie running back, and no quarterback. So
it's that no quarterback that is such a black cloud, man. Like,
looks a lot different.
Yeah, regardless how you feel about whoever these candidates are, like, there's some individuals who are on board with the Rodgers, some are against it. Cousins, we keep Howard, who knows? But, like,
I just know Mason's not the guy.
Right. Right.
I've been on that train since I saw him play and he lost the job to Duck Hodges. I was done.
When you lose the Duck, man, I mean, hey, like, the writing's on the wall.
I was out.
But like, I think.
Yeah, so anything else that you
threw me name drop with the Doc Hodges, man, lost me.
Hey, man, when you're a fan of the team, you can pull those out. When anything else that you saw before we go to the MVP?
No, we're good.
All right. So we talked about this a little bit pre-show. Again, I went with a rookie because this team is, on paper right now, their offense is absolute trash. I would normally, if there's a quarterback there that I trust, DK Metcalf by far is going to be this MVP. Don't get me wrong. However, right now, no one can get him the ball. So I went with Caleb Johnson because twofold. Again, quarterback, no one can get DK the ball. Second off, it is Arthur Smith's offense until Aaron Rodgers comes and he decides not to listen to Arthur Smith, which is probably going to happen. He's a running offensive coordinator. He loves running the ball. He loves big backs. This is his guy. I believe that Caleb Johnson is going to be a absolute stud for the Steelers because of the fact that Arthur Smith likes bigger backs. I mean, you look back at Atlanta, and Algier was getting carries because of how big he was when the best young running back in the league, quote unquote, I don't believe that, but close, 1-2, was on that team and drafted at number 8, or I think number 8 overall. So he loves big backs, and this dude is a tank and can move. So wasn't very happy with Caleb Johnson's before draft, but now that he's on this team with Arthur Smith, with the offensive line, and I think it's going to be pretty good this year, I'm really up on Caleb Johnson now because he just fits the scheme.
I'm a big fan of Caleb Johnson, and we'll play into the dark horse. That's who I have picked as a dark horse again. just out of I gotta see some stuff before I consider them an MVP. But I'm gonna agree with. I'm going to agree with a lot of what you said in regards to at least the offense and how Arthur Smith, so much so that I'm actually going to pivot a little bit. My MVP is going to be Jaylen Warren. I'm a huge Warren fan. I think patience is a virtue, and patience is not time for Jaylen Warren to cash in. I think he's going to take up the extra volume that he has deserved over the past 2 years behind Najee, and I think he's going to stand up and be very well. Is he going to be the top 5 running back? No. But is Jaylen Warren going to be Jaylen Warren going to have the year that we've all waited for? In my opinion, yes. I have not seen a single snap from Caleb. I have not seen him into this offense yet. I know what Warren can do. I have seen what Warren can do, especially when Najee's out due to his countless injuries. I'm all aboard the Warren wagon here, and size or no size, the dude can catch, the dude is fast, the dude can run, the dude knows this offense, and I'm all on board on Warren this year.
All right, we can agree to disagree with Warren. I've been talking about that enough. I don't have to go back and bash him any more than I already have. I think he's okay. I just don't think he's the number 1 guy.
Fair enough.
So I get what you're saying there, though. A lot of people do like him, think that he will be the next person. But if Najee Harris wasn't that good, why didn't he take over Najee Harris? That's always my argument. So in
my opinion, he did take over Najee Harris. There's 2 totally different formats and running schemes. But in my opinion, he did take over Najee Harris because look who's still standing. Look who's still here. Look who's going to be around here. Najee Harris was shown the door after his 5th-year option.
Yeah, but Warren's cheaper than Najee and younger.
So there's 2 reasons right there that you were saying that didn't exist. I think if Caleb was not drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers, everybody would be on the Warren bandwagon. It's the rookie blinders, and because everyone's so interested in the next best thing, the next fresh meat, no one is experiencing or appreciating the current regime. And that's what it is. We're always so anxious to see what the next rookies do in each class. You got to open your eyes and realize the talent here. And there's so many more people talking about Caleb Johnson and talking about Scadabo than Chase Brown. And Chase Brown has shown everybody last year what he's able to do and the capabilities he has this year. So I think what is going on here is a little bit of rookie blinders, and I truly do feel that you will see that Warren's time is now. And you, as a Steeler fan, are going to apologize.
Yeah, I don't usually apologize when I talk about the Steelers because I've seen Warren play. I'm not. He's good, but he gets hurt a lot. I don't know. I would be worried if they didn't draft a running back this past year because I think what's going to happen is Caleb Johnson and Kenneth Gainwell are going to be the 2 backs because eventually Jaylen Warren's going to get hurt more than likely. And I don't think it's going to take long for Caleb to show that he's the better back than Jaylen Warren.
That is a crazy take, and I'm looking forward to this playing back this pod. That is a crazy take.
I liked Kenneth Gainwell for a long time.
That is obvious. That is very obvious.
I have. I think he's one of the better pass-catching backs in the league. Good change of pace back, especially for a guy like Caleb Johnson who's going to be a bruiser. I think they work really well together. I think Jaylen Warren and him would work okay together as well. But I really like Gainwell. And I think the only reason the Eagles moved him or didn't re-sign him or whatever happened there was because he's getting a little bit older and they went and got they went and drafted younger guys, as they always do, to replace. So we'll see what happens with the running backs. I do know right now the running backs are all that matters on this team. Unfortunately, hopefully there's hopefully there's a quarterback that can get DK the ball because he's by far the best player on this team.
Yeah,
and second is probably Pratt Fryermuth, to be 100% honest with you, who is my dark horse. Because even if there's a guy who can't throw the ball very far, you can always throw it to your tight end, especially a short-handed tight end as Pratt Fryermuth is. So that was my dark horse for the Steelers.
No rebuttal on there. No rebuttal there. I'm a big Muth fan. Probably my favorite offensive player on the Steelers. So I'm a big tight end follower, and he's a pass catching tight end. I'm a Muth fan. Good choice.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it was for right now. Their roster just has nobody. It's bad. So we'll see what happens there. Now, real quick, because we're going a little bit longer than I expected. Of course, we talk a lot. AFC North. Who was your QB? I think we had the same one, which was. Oh no, you had a different one. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You went with Lamar, correct?
Yeah, I went with Lamar. He was my quarterback and my MVP for this division. As much as it pains me, he is the most important player in this division in my eyes.
Fair enough. Yeah, I went with Joe Burrow. I went with Mr. Consistency. Personally, he has won me 2 consecutive titles, so I can't go away from greatness and proven fact. And it kind of plays into the purpose of choosing Joe Burrow over Lamar was because of my wide receiver. I chose Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase, what can be said that hasn't been already for Jamar? And having that stack of Burrow Chase is fantasy gold. So that's the reason behind taking those two.
No, that's a really good point. I don't think there was another option than Jamar Chase for wide receiver. Running back, other than the 2 rookies, it has to be Derrick Henry until he retires, right? That's how I looked at it. So
I'm with you on that one. Yep, I'm in agreement.
Tight end, I am 2 tight ends in Baltimore are probably both better than the one that I picked. However, there are 2 tight ends in Baltimore. So I went with Pat Fryermuth as the tight end. Njoku, you could say, is better, but again, who's going to get him the ball? A little bit worried about that. So I
went with the Njoku for tight end for the same exact reasons of why you rebutted Moose. You told me 15 reasons why Moose is a great tight end with no quarterback, so I'm going to use those 15 reasons why Njoku is a good tight end with no quarterback.
Yeah, they're right around the same fantasy-wise as well. One of those, that group of 10 tight ends, it seems like, right after the top 4 or top 3, however many you say are there. They're in that group of 4 to 14 or 4 to 12 or however many there are. So interchangeable, but yeah, you could go either way, I think, with that one. And then my flex option was Quinshaw Judkins, just because, again, I don't see much in Cleveland, so they're going to run the crap out of the ball and play good defense, I think. So we'll see.
Yeah. In my flex, much to your dismay, went Jaylen Warren. I think he's going to get the volume. I think he's going to get the carries, and he's going to get the fantasy aspects of which are going to be deemed relevant for Steelers football.
Nice. And then my dark horse was, of course, Caleb Johnson, because, well, I don't trust Warren all that much, as we've heard already. So, if as Caleb Johnson goes, the Steelers will go, unless they get Rodgers or Cousins. Then my dark horse is going to be wrong. But so who was your dark horse in this league?
Overall dark horse. I'm going back to Chase Brown, man. I tried not to beat him to too much to death when we were originally talking to him, but he was. Dude was crazy. He was nearing 21 fantasy points a game in the last end of the back half of that season when Zach Moss went down with injury, who I feel will not make the team. I think he's going to get an injury settlement, if you want my honest opinion, and Chase Brown is even projected more into the running back 1 standards. But he's projected, if he does numbers like he did the back end of the last year, he's at 1,700 yards with 12 touchdowns, and he's top 10 in targets for a running back. So I think if they pick up right where they left off, which they have all the tools to do so, at least offensively, that Bengals offense, man, is going to be nasty.
No, absolutely, I agree with you. I think it's fantasy gold to be in the Bengals offense. Get as much Bengals offense as you possibly can because this defense is a joke, so they're going to have to score. And they have talented players to do so. It's not just that they're going to get garbage time. It's that they're going to be in games because their offense is scoring 40, 50 points or 35, 40 points a game. They have to. And they're able to do it. So 100% agree with you on that. So we're going to was there anything else? Who was your MVP? Lamar, right?
Yeah, Lamar, I know I picked Burrow, but I did pick Burrow for the J stack. But overall, again, I'm going with the quarterback with the arm, the legs, the proven points, the proven weapons. Lamar Jackson, number 8.
Which that was a great move, by the way. I like that because the stack is so important in fantasy, especially when it's two guys who are on campus, really.
Yeah, and again, I'm sure
so it made sense, 100%.
My team isn't just that. I mean, I don't want to brag. My team is pretty solid, my championship team, but my championship team is built around that Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase stack, and that has definitely been a nucleus to my success.
Nice. All right, so we're going to move on to the NFC North. That is our home division, the AFC North, so I think that's why it took a little bit longer. We know so much about this division. We play them. We're Steelers. You're a Steelers fan, right? I'm a big Steelers fan, and we play this division so often. We know so much about them. So I think the other ones are going to go a little bit quicker. So sorry for the rants there. But NFC North, we have the Detroit Lions. The only ads I saw were 2 wide receivers who really don't matter.
Those splash ones, yeah.
Tim Patrick, who helped me out a little bit last year for a couple weeks, and Khalif Raymond, who I don't think has helped anybody in fantasy ever. And then they didn't have really any departures on offense or the skill positions. They did draft Isaac Tesla, which means that the 2 guys they just re-signed are probably going to be even lower on the totem pole. And Dominic Lovett, which I don't remember them drafting him, so he must have been an unrestricted free agent or undrafted player that came on the team, I guess. And then it's pretty straightforward. Was there anything else you had for them?
No, minimal fantasy impact off season so far for the Lions.
The only fantasy impact I really saw happened this past week with Ragnow retiring. I know he's an offensive lineman, however, that team is predicated on how they run the ball, and they have one of the best offensive lines because of that guy, Ragnow. So we'll see what happens after his retirement. But I think they were ready for it. They drafted somebody to replace him, and everything sounds good. So hopefully, who my MVP isn't going to be hurt too bad because he's one of my favorite players in the league, Jahmyr Gibbs. In my opinion, he's the most valuable player on this team for the simple fact of I think he's the best running back in football.
Couldn't say it better. One of those lack of splash conversations here. I mean, I think it's a no-brainer. He is the MVP of the team. Everything is built around him, fantasy-wise, offensive-wise, NFL, real-life-wise. I mean, it's Gibbs' team, and we're all here to watch.
I will say, if you said St. Brown, I would understand.
Of course,
conversation of top 7, 8 guys in the league in his position, but Jahmyr is in that top conversation of 2, maybe 3 guys. Just kind of that Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow argument is kind of the same thing. Is why I picked Gibbs over St. Brown.
I think you nailed it. He's the best running back in football. I think I agree with you. That's a hot button. It could be going several ways, but I'm in agreement. I think he's the best running back in football. So you make the best running back, the best player, the MVP.
Perfect. Dark horse. I think we have the same one. I have been on Jameson Williams since he was in Alabama, and I was very annoyed when I picked him number 5, I think, overall in my first ever rookie draft, and he decided to not play for 2 years. So finally, I think he's going to come out even better than he did last year. His breakout season, I guess, was last year, but really this is going to be that year that he solidifies himself as the number 2 option in this pass offense. Maybe number 3 because Jahmyr Gibbs catches the ball so often, but behind St. Brown and the wide receivers, I think that deep threat is really going to be prevalent this year. What about you?
No, I'm in agreement. This is not only my dark horse, but for spoiler alerts, my dark horse for the entire NFC North. I think this is the year. I don't think we've even seen what he is capable of. They're using him in lower aspects as well, and kind of like slot type formations and everything in between. That way, he's not just a deep threat. It's once to get the ball in his hands, the speed's there. The dude had like 16% target share. It was like one of the lowest in the team, and he had over 1,000 yards. Like that's unheard of. That's unheard of. Like
Get the ball in his hands.
and again, and that's not just Jared Goff chucking it 90 yards downfield and him being downfield all by himself. That's like you pull up his tape and you look at the different plays and the way he runs on the field and everything with what he does with that ball. He's like a rugby player when he gets the ball. He's just all over the place. And again, good luck catching him at the speed that he is. So I'm all in on Jamo. I think you, and it's kind of weird you say that you and I have very similar paths. I drafted him 6th overall in my very first rookie draft. I had 3 firsts, and I spent one on him. And then with the injury and the gambling and everything in between, he's been a frustrating player to have, but I think it's all going to pay off this year.
Yeah, I ended up trading him for profit, so I took that. But he was in the same draft class as Olave, Garrett Wilson, Drake London.
Yeah.
And by far, I don't think there was anyone who disagreed because he was hurt is the only reason he didn't go number 1 out of those wide receivers.
Full agreement.
He went 3, I think. I think he was the 3rd one drafted. He was still in the 1st round, and he was hurt, and they knew he was hurt.
He had present
torn ACL. So much talent. It is insane. And if they can unlock that in Detroit this year, man, he's going to be good. Man, they're going to be unstoppable with all the weapons they got around. So it's going to be fun. My dark horse obviously was James Williams as well. Minnesota Vikings re-signed Aaron Jones, picked up Jordan Mason, both running backs, and then ended up getting Sam Howell as the backup quarterback. Just in case the rookie doesn't pan out. Departures, both quarterbacks from last year, Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones. And then they drafted absolutely no offense whatsoever.
I believe they drafted like a wide receiver late in like the 4th or something like that. But yeah, it's a wide receiver on a team with Addison and Jefferson. You're not going to see much time, especially year 1.
And Hawkinson. And Jones. So, yeah, you're probably going to be the 5th option at best, no matter what.
Naylor.
And Naylor, yeah. So 6th option at best. You're not going to see the field all that much. What I saw, I didn't see anything. So I'm surprised they didn't put that on there.
Again, it's lack of splash. I only know that just because I'm a McCarthy fan, but yeah, it was Felton, I believe the gentleman's last name was.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, I didn't see yours, but I'm pretty sure there's only one MVP on this team.
Yeah, it's obvious.
Jay Jets is, he's the dude. Jordan Addison is probably one of the top 15 wide receivers, talent-wise, in the league, maybe even higher. There's a lot of people who say that he's the reason that Pickett took 2nd in the Heisman, which is true. He's just that good. And Justin Jefferson makes him look like a top 30 wide receiver because Justin Jefferson's so good.
Said that well.
Huh?
You said that well.
Thanks. I try. So, and then my dark horse, I don't know if we have the same one or not, but as the team goes, J.J. McCarthy has to be able to play. And if he plays well, this team is going to be really good because their offense is nasty. Their defense was one of the best in the league last year. Or one, I think, top 10 last year at least.
Yeah.
So if JJ goes and plays well like everyone expects, and like he played for Michigan, man, the sky's the limit for this team, and he's my dark horse.
No, I like the call. Very obvious dark horse, just because he hasn't taken a snap, and yet there's so much riding on him and the future of the Vikings relying on him. So excellent choice. I got 2 stocks on him, so, excellent choice. I'm going to go super dark in the corners for my dark horse. I'm going to go Jordan Mason. I think this signing is sneaky good, and I think Jordan Mason is once again going to be the most expensive handcuff or valuable handcuff out there, and he's not behind CMC. I think Aaron Jones is a fantastic running back, but I think Aaron Jones' fall off happens this year. I don't know why. I'm not saying. I truly do feel that this is the year that the Aaron Jones wheels fall off.
Well,
Jordan Mason has shown significantly, countless times, not only the running back capabilities that he has, the skill set that he has, but he can carry running back one volume. And I'm fully optimistic that he, with Jordan Mason behind that offensive line, and again, I never wish injury on anybody. I don't, but I do feel that Aaron Jones is not going to finish this year, or not going to play most of the year, or any of those lines. He's an injury-proven running back, and I think Jordan Mason's going to capitalize on that.
No, absolutely. He is definitely an injury-prone running back. I am a huge Aaron Jones fan, and I have heard people say that this is his downfall for 4 years. So it's kind of like Derrick Henry. When I see it, I'll believe it. Now, I'm not comparing him to Derrick Henry whatsoever, but
I get it.
Saying Derrick Henry is on his downfall for, I think, 6 years now, 5 years now. So, and he's still one of the best running backs in the NFL. So I think Aaron Jones is a great running back. He's going to get hurt, so it's good to have Jordan Mason. Just how he plays. Every single year he gets hurt. It's a fact of life. And I don't think he's been healthy for 16, 17 games, however many the full season it has been in his career. Once in a season. So it's a great backup. You're right, great handcuff, because you will be able to start him at some point this year. So I don't hate it. I love it. So moving on, Green Bay Packers added Mecole Hardman. We'll talk about this in a minute. Departures, A.J. Dillon. Then they drafted two more wide receivers, Matthew Golden and Savion Williams. So they have 8 wide receivers?
It's roughly that, yeah.
I'm gonna list these. This is ridiculous. Matthew Golden, Savion Williams, Mecole Hardman, Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Dontavian Wicks, Romeo Doubs, and that's just the wide receiver room. That's not including Josh Jacobs at running back,
Tucker Kraft,
who a lot of people love, plus Tucker Kraft, who wasn't even the first tight end they drafted that year, and his name's escaping me.
Dude, it's escaping me too. And I was gonna make a joke about that nobody remembers his name, and son of a B, we don't remember his name.
I'm so confused. So, with that being said, guess who my MVP is? It's got to be Jordan Love, because there's 300 people to throw to in fantasy. So you can't pick one of them. Maybe Josh Jacobs, but I personally think he's going to get hurt. We'll talk about that in a second. Just because of how much he was worked last year.
Luke Musgrave.
That's who it was. And he's good too. He was good until he got hurt his rookie year.
Yeah.
But then Tucker Kraft came out and kind of solidified that number 5 tight end. So, so there's a million wide receivers and a million players to throw to. The dude who's throwing the ball has to be this MVP, because the ball's going to get spread around too much. There's not a number 1 here. They're hoping Matthew Golden, we'll see. But there's no number 1. There's a bunch of 2s, maybe a couple 3s, right? I have no idea what they're doing. They got to trade somebody, I'm assuming, or one of these decent players are going to get cut. It makes no sense to me. This is hilarious.
No, I agree with you. For the sake of beating it, I'm with you. Jordan Love is my MVP, but I'll pivot this, use this as a segue as my dark horse. I'm going Jalen Reed. I'll use my Michigan State Spartans bias to the side here. I think he is going to be a PPR monster. I think he's going to be all over the inner sides of the field. I think he's going to be in the slot. I think he's going to be in the X. I think he's going to be just all over the place like he has in the past few years. I think the Packers have been so focused on trying to figure out who a wide receiver 1 is and they don't want to necessarily say Reed's the wide receiver one, but they have the talent under their belts now that they don't necessarily need a wide receiver one. Why do you need a wide receiver one? Just like why do you need a running back one? You don't need a running back one. Some of these teams now that are doing the duo companions are for showing you don't need a running back one. You have an A and B, and you're starting to see that now with the wide receivers with the Bengals and now the Cowboys. They're trying to do that 1A, 1B type wide receiver thing. So all that in play, I think you're going to have Reed stand out in that wide receiver room. You have the rookies who are going to be good. You have Watson, who, if he could stay healthy, is going to be decent. But Reed has never disappointed, and I think Reed's going to be the guy who runs around all over the field, and he's going to get some serious PPR points.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's the best one on out of the wide receivers personally. We'll see what happens with the rookies, but he gets like less than 50% or less than 50% route run or something like that. So. It's just insane. I don't know what the Packers are doing. I like the Packers team; they're a playoff team, but
yeah,
makes no sense.
Something's working.
So many mouths to feed. So good luck picking a wide receiver. I have one. I'm biased on, so we'll see what happens there. And a tight end, so that's always fun. My dark horse, real quick, Marshawn Lloyd. I've said it already. I like him as a running back, but I do think Josh Jacobs is going to get hurt. So, being the fact that they have 18 running or wide receivers to throw to, I went with the backup running back because there's really nobody else.
No, I have a stock in Lloyd. I like the Lloyd call. No one's really talking about him because he had like non-football injuries. He had like 76 non-football injuries last year. Like the dude was completely hexed. He had an appendectomy and he had all kinds of crap going on, and all he wanted to do was play some ball. So yeah, I like the Lloyd call. I have a stock in him, and I'm holding on to that one tight.
Nice. All right, last team. This is going a lot longer than I anticipated. Chicago Bears. There were no additions or re-signs. However, I added that they boosted the offensive line because Caleb Williams was running for his life last year. So they added 3 players on the offensive line who were like who's who. Tooney, Jackson, and Dahlman. Nasty boys.
Yeah, good call out. Good call out adding that because that is something that's going to separate the Bears from last year's Bears versus this year's Bears.
That is it, I think, yeah. Departures, obviously, Keenan Allen, who I referenced earlier, and Gerald Everett, who I don't even know if he's on a team.
I don't believe so at this point.
I know Keenan Allen's not, but he probably will be. He's too good not.
He will be. He will be.
Hopefully he'll be in my city.
Keenan Allen don't need OTAs. You'll see Keenan in July.
Exactly. They might come in together. Anyway.
Yeah, they might.
And then they drafted Colston Loveland in the first round, I think 10th overall. 10th overall. And then Luther Burden, they also drafted, who we were both pretty high on. However, draft stock and also place he went, I was a little bit scared. So my MVP is nobody on the team except for Ben Johnson because they needed an offensive mind that actually could run a good offense. So that's my MVP is Ben Johnson. Can I use him or do I have to pick a player?
Hey, dude, it's our pod. Let's rock and roll with Ben Johnson as the MVP. Because I rolled with Caleb Williams as the MVP only for the sole purpose of Ben Johnson. I'm super excited to see what he's going to do with this team, what the Bears look like under him. I don't think he is the next godlike coach, but I do think his offensive mind is exactly what this Bears team needs. I'm looking forward to it all.
Yep. And then if I couldn't use the head coach, I would have said Caleb Williams as well because of all the weapons they have there. Dark horse, I think Roman Dunze actually supplants DJ Moore as the number 1 target. That is a hot take from me. Roman Dunze was a first-round pick, stud in Washington, being talked about as high as Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. pre-draft. Did not. The draft capital was there with the other 2 players as well. You don't draft a guy this high to not be the number 1 guy. And then they brought in Luther Burden, who can take over what DJ Moore does. So it makes a lot of sense. Your dark horse?
No, I'm in full agreement, man. I'm in full agreement. I think I'm with you on this one. Yeah, I'm with you on this one. I do have Rome as my dark horse as well. I was excited for him last year, and Keenan Allen kind of rained on my parade. So I don't necessarily see DJ Moore as my threat, but I see more so Keenan Allen was. I really think that Ben Johnson had taken this job with Rome in mind.
Yeah, no, that's a great call. I love that. And then NFC North, for me, the best quarterback in this division, at least fantasy wise, is Jordan Love. Basically by default. He's the one quarterback who runs a little bit, and also I trust him with passing. JJ's a rookie. Who knows? Wow, Jared Goff just throws the ball, so no running ability there. And then Caleb Williams, I don't trust. I'm not a big fan. So by default, I had to take Jordan Love in this round. A lot different than the NFC or the AFC North for that point. How about you?
I went with Caleb. I trust Caleb. I think last year's offensive line put a black eye on what he actually has done as a fantasy owner of Caleb. I think his numbers were completely overshadowed by the offensive line and the nail painting. Once that's overseen and overblown, I think you guys are going to see that Caleb is what the hype is all about.
Interesting. All right. I've been an anti-Caleb fan since USC, when they ended up stealing Jordan Addison from us and still couldn't make the Final Four. So, because I actually put money on USC to win the national championship because they brought Caleb Williams in with arguably the best wide receiver in the game, and I was like, oh, done deal. And they couldn't get it done against Utah twice. So I've been anti just because of that. And also all the media coverage that he had to. I hate that. Obviously, running back, he's my MVP. He's, in my opinion, the best skill position player, because I have him higher than the wide receivers are together in Jahmyr Gibbs. I have him higher than the number. How do I say that? I have him as my RB1 further away from the RB2 than my RB1 in Justin Jefferson is for my RB2 or my wide receiver 2.
The gap is way bigger between your running back 1 and 2 versus your wide receiver 1 2.
So much better way to explain it. Thank you.
I got you, Vic. I got you.
Oh man. So that's why he's my MVP in this group instead of Justin Jefferson. Who's your running back?
I went with you and Gibbs, man. You can't again. It's just like Justin Jefferson is the wide receiver for us.
It has to be.
You have to be. You look at the pool of the running backs, and just like your gap between running back 1 and 2, it's that gap is legit running 2 in this division. I don't think there's a clear-cut one winner, and it's Gibbs, and just like there's a clear-cut wide receiver in Jetta.
So I actually have Justin Jefferson in my rankings higher than Gibbs, but I have CeeDee Lamb, I think, literally right behind Jefferson.
Yes.
Gibbs,
I know what you meant.
He's on, I think, 2 or 3 spots different.
Correct.
So it's on a big gap, but that's the difference for me. Tight end, we haven't even talked about him. For me, at least, I think he's the third tight end in fantasy in Sam Laporta. I don't know who you picked, but I thought
I'm glad we left the NFC. I'm glad we left the NFC for last because it's identical again. It's Sam Laporta. I think he's the most underrated player on the Lions that is not a running back offensively. I think he is going to be a beast this year.
Yeah, and Colston Loveland may supplant him. There is a chance because I like Colston Loveland a lot, but we'll see what happens there first. I gotta see it a little bit more before you gotta actually see it before you supplant Sam Laporta, one of our top 3 tight ends in fantasy. My flex, Amon-Ra St. Brown, again, because of all the love that I have for Jahmyr Gibbs, and it sounds like you do too, we haven't talked about him that much, and he's one of the top 15 players in the NFL, including quarterbacks and running backs.
It's a great point. We have not talked about him, and he's rightfully so deserving of all the praise that he should have been getting here. I did not pick him. I picked Jalen Reed for my praise earlier, just because of his PBR format and everything in between. And I'm in full support of the praise that you were giving Jordan Love. So yeah, I went with Reed in my flex.
I like it. I have figured out that there are so many weapons for Green Bay, like more than any other team, that are legitimate good. They're legitimately good. It's not like
It's just a matter what they do with them.
Right, but
You're not starting week one with all of them.
I am terrified of that team, and I'm looking at my team like I have pieces of that Green Bay team, and I'm like, oh man, what am I doing? I got to get these out of here. Like it worries me so much. Like Jaden Reed should be a starter easily on almost every single fantasy team. I'm terrified to start him because who knows? And you saw last year if you have a piece of him, he can go goose egg. Not because he's not good, because they don't give him the ball.
Correct.
Which is crazy to me. Anyway, off my soapbox. I did that twice now. My dark horse, Roma Dunze. I already said it. I think he's supplanting DJ Moore this year as the number one. If not that, it's going to be like a 1A, 1AA, not even 1B. Like, it's going to be like 50-50 in my opinion, at worst. His talent's just too much, in my opinion. So I took Roma Dunze as the dark horse.
And I went with Jameson Williams, as mentioned earlier. I think he's going to come out and he's going to be an absolute freak.
Yeah, I'm. These two players are two of my favorite wide receivers coming out of college in the last 15 years. Like I absolutely loved watching these guys. So it's split hairs for me. I love both guys, and I think they're better this year.
Could have said it better.
So, anything else? We talked about the NFC and AFC North today. It's a lot longer than I anticipated, over an hour, about an hour. But I think we had some good information there. Hopefully it helps you in your fantasy quest. Anything else you wanted to say there, Ackman?
No, I agree. I think this was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to doing another geographical spectrum of our country next week.
Yeah, I think we're going to do the East next week. Always going to be fun there. Those are interesting teams. So, and the Super Bowl champs come out of there. So, we will see you guys next week. For Jeremy, I am Mickey. This has been Dynasty from the Mountaintops. Make sure you check us out on YouTube, Apple, or Podbean. Also, social media at dynastymttops on X and Blue Sky. And then you can email us at dynastymttops@gmail.com for any feedback or comments you have, or any topics that you want to hear as well. Would love to hear that. We have the next 3 weeks solid because we're going to go through each division, but after that it's pretty open. So anything you want to hear, let us know. Again, for Jeremy, I'm Mickey. This is Dynasty for the Mountaintops. Have a great night.
Thanks, guys.